Christian Kirk was your must-start, Wes. 19 fantasy points. He 40-something yard touchdown in that fourth quarter. One of the more exciting plays of the game. But, hey, he's always got that opportunity to do that. He seems to be up there with Evan Ingram for Trevor Lawrence's favorite targets on this team. It's pretty awesome, and it's exciting stuff. If you've got Christian Kirk, you roll him out confidently, and that's exciting to see, you know. I don't... I'll just move it here. We'll move to risky start because Calvin Ridley had 1.5 fantasy points, 1 catch, 4 targets for 5 yards. I don't know if asked you about it, Wes, or try to get your advice, but like after like week 3 or week 4, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about selling high on Puka right now and buying low. What about like Calvin Ridley? You know, he's had a few down weeks, but week 1 showed us he's the top guy, right? My goodness, I'm so glad I did not do that. 1.5 points, 1 catch, 4 targets. 4 targets. I mean, what are we doing here? It's disappointing to say the least. It's I don't understand why he isn't more involved. I mean, maybe it's the Marshawn Lattimore coverage that he was experiencing tonight. Maybe, you know, Marshawn is a very good corner in the NFL, but it's just yet another week where Calvin Ridley isn't being used, he isn't involved, and he's just not being a part of this offense. I don't know how confident I am in starting Calvin Ridley if I'm a Calvin Ridley owner anymore.
I want to use a word, because I was thinking about it as I was watching this game, and I started to think about it because this is what we said. It was a risk to start Calvin Ridley, and we listed some other wide receivers that have been performing better and more points per game. I'm going to describe Calvin Ridley as a liability because we expected him to be a league winner. We went into the season with the excitement from this trade to Jacksonville, and we saw what the videos from the social media team were posting, and we read the training camp reports, and we saw what the beat writers were saying, and we heard what the team was saying and glowing about Calvin Ridley, and we saw the preseason games. And we said, great, this is the Calvin Ridley we saw with the Falcons. This is going to be phenomenal. Now, in the real world, fine, okay? They're 5-2. They're a good team. But in fantasy, since his great week 1 game, he's averaging 8.7 points a week. And I consider him a liability because his ceiling feels so great. I feel like we still have yet to see the best Calvin Ridley game. But I don't know how many more single-digit weeks we're going to put up before it's too late. I just looked at some of the numbers, and he's only led the team in receiving yards twice this season in a game. And he was once 5th in yards for Jacksonville Jaguars receiving yards. 5th in week 3. I mean, there's only like 3 wide receivers. He was behind Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
I can't start him anymore. I can't. I have to forget the name and the potential and just keep rolling out so many other wide receivers. I was going to name one, but really it feels like so many other wide receivers are a better option.
Many options. I mean, I'll just run through it. I mean, going into next week, Wes. I mean, you start. I mean, we'll start pretty broad here, and it feels like these are going to be kind of no-brainers here. But Jacoby Myers or Calvin Ridley?
Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, Christian Watson or Calvin Ridley?
I'd take a shot on Watson.
Yeah, he's had double-digit points in both his games. I mean, it hasn't been super pretty, but he's got a decent floor so far. His teammate, Romeo Doubs or Calvin Ridley?
I may go with Doubs.
Yeah, I think I would go with Doubs. Rashee Rice or Calvin Ridley?
Rashee Rice.
Yeah, it's just we're at this point where it's like it feels like, and I'm going to take a quote from you, Wes. It's that Calvin Ridley is going to have his first good week on my bench if I have him, or I won't say his first, but his next. Calvin Ridley's next good week will be on my bench. He's at a point now where it's so up and down. I get you had to start him. It's bye Mageddon this week. There's so many teams on bye week. You were running out of options. But Calvin Ridley, he had to be in your lineup probably. But it's at this point now, you probably have a better option on your team. And it's disappointing.
It'd be tough to trade him too.
Yeah, super tough. And it's disappointing to see from a guy who we drafted in the 5th round. It's disappointing, and I'm bummed. I'm bummed big time about his usage.
Big time bum rush, dude.
Yeah. That was a Super Bowl winning sack play call for Aaron Donald against the Bengals. Yeah, that was a big time bum rush on Green. Yeah. Yeah, there you go.